Okay, I almost dropped it, but it's cool. Alright, so we're gonna put the...
I'm sorry, but I'm so hyped for the freaking movie.
You have no idea what you're getting into. Again, for context, here's the frame that we're recreating. Right. So I am in the bed. You are observing with no ulterior motive. You're just observing.
I like to imagine that there's an out-of-context image of just Jack laying in my bed.
There's just gonna be a picture. I understand, like, toward, like, right in the center. Yeah, a little bit closer. Let's see if so I'm gonna be... Glasses off.
This video contains spoilers. If you have not seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, good. This is Austin, my bestest buddy in the whole wide world. Here's him in another video of mine. Here's him covered in blood, and here's what he would look like if he were black or Chinese. Now, we both love watching movies, specifically watching movies with little to no prior knowledge as to what the movie's about. Brother also tends to react somewhat, how do I put this, eclectically when the thing we're watching takes a turn for the absurd. Watching him watch a movie can sometimes be more entertaining than the movie itself. Can you see where I'm going with this? And, like me, before I turned evil, Austin isn't very well acquainted with the world of animation outside of DreamWorks and Pixar. Can you see where I'm going with this? Austin has not seen Eva. All is well. Until Gkids announces End of Evangelion is playing in select theaters. I post on my exclusive Snapchat meme story as a joke that I'd love to take Austin to see this movie because it would make him absolutely stroke out, froth up the mouth, and die in agony. He sees this and says, "Bet, my G." I tell him, hey, there is a whole series you should probably watch before the movie, and he says, nah, I'd watch movie blind. Next thing you know, we're driving an hour to the nearest Regal theater, and I decide to document the experience because I think it'll be very, very funny.
That's how we got in this situation.
Yeah.
It is 3 p.m. right now, 1 hour away from the movie. Austin, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting, from what I saw before, I'm expecting like a very Pokemon experience. We're gonna have a nice main character. You're gonna have like little like side characters that's gonna help him complete his adventure.
Is this a bit, or are you like actually trying to predict based off that?
I'm trying to predict. What do you mean? That's what's gonna happen, right? We have a main character. He's gonna be trying to like complete something, and then he's gonna have like 2 sidekicks that are gonna help him with him, and he's gonna have a little buddy that's gonna help him too. Either I'm completely wrong or I'm surprisingly accurate. I can't tell.
I'm not gonna tell you which one you are.
God damn.
I'm not gonna tell you which one you are, but you are definitely one of those things.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is gonna be the first time I'm ever gonna watch an anime movie that isn't the Pokemon movie or the Bakugan movie,
right,
or the Beyblade movie.
Holy shit, the Beyblade movie.
Listen, I used to fuck with Beyblades so hard.
Dude, same, honestly.
But like, is this like an adult like anime? Is that what it's saying?
I'm not telling you anything. I'm not telling you anything. I can explain the lore if you want me to.
Okay. I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay. So basically, once upon a time in the distant future of 2000, a bunch of scientists went to the Antarctic, right? And they found God. And he had like a giant fucking fork sticking out of him.
So which religion was right then?
So they find God in the Antarctic, right? They tried doing science experiments on him. God doesn't like that, so he explodes. Now there are angels coming to Earth. They're biblically accurate angels that are coming down to Earth. So that's what the most of the plot of the show.
Okay.
It's like 3 happy, friendly friends who are like fighting these alien angels, right?
Uh-huh.
It's our main trio of characters in big robots called Evangelions.
Now that I've perfectly explained the movie's premise, Austin and I set off to the movie theater with our bets placed, expectations high, and $7 water bottle in hand. But as we're on our merry way, I think back to some of the online discussion I'd seen about End of Ava's return to theaters. Stop taking friends and family to see EOE if they haven't seen the series. Jesus Christ, we get these threads every goddamn day. Great flush your family and nobody knows what's going on. No, shut up. That's dumb as hell. Friendship-ending event if I ever saw any. Imagine taking someone who's never seen an anime in their life and knows jack shit about Evangelion to this movie, and the first thing they see is the hospital scene. This right here is the comment that convinced me that this is the best idea ever, and I'm gonna go through with it. So we make our way to our seats in the back of the theater, and we watch as the room fills with way more people than I was expecting. One Eva fan in particular had this idea for a fun little YouTube short, link in description. As the film begins, I look over at Austin, 11-year-long friendship on the line, preparing to pay for this man's therapy bills for the next 5 to 12 years, and I watch as something magical happens. After a quiet, deceptive what the fuck when he realized what scene that photo we took was a reference to, I was expecting a tone of audible confusion and plenty more of my pal leaning over to me and asking what the hell I've roped him into. However, as the film progressed and the experience began to sink in, I really wasn't hearing much chatter from Austin. I wasn't hearing much from the entire audience, save for one guy saying, "Mommy," when Ray came on screen. For the near entirety of End of Evangelion's 80-minute runtime, the room was dead silent, which is more than can be said for other theaters. There was this almost haunting feeling in our theater. Austin and I sat there quietly absorbing the atmosphere, surrounded by complete strangers. Hey, Editing Jack here. So after we watched the movie, Austin and I just headed home and we talked about the experience, but most of the conversation we had ended up skewing towards the second half of the movie. So I asked Austin to give a short little review for part 1.
Chapter 1, or part 1 of the End of Evangelion. I know I said it wrong again, but that's okay. So, let's start off. I really thought that chapter 1, compared to like the second part, I thought it was really like comprehensible. Like, I know there was 2 wars that were like, there's like 2 sides that were like humans that were trying to like battle for each other, for like the certain areas. And I understand that, like, you know, they made it clear that in this world with all these like evens, that, again, I might get some of the terms wrong, but like you get the idea. I think the thing is, you could tell that like humans weren't like known to be killing each other, and this was like a big deal when like they were invading, you know. And then that was the first part that I remembered, and then also you got the second part. I really thought the girl who was in the Red Eva battling all the white monsters, the animation was incredible. Even with the subtitles, I can still understand kind of what's going on, even without any background context as well. But then I also, the part about like Shilling, the thing is, you could understand that he was going through a rough time, you know. He got a gun put up to his head and he was just like, fuck, just do it, you know. And then, you know, he got saved, and he, again, he's dead. There's no point. He doesn't want to live anymore. But the thing that really is interesting is how you also have the girl, I forgot her name, but she was helping Shilling and trying to get him to be, you know, get up to do his thing. He needs to be Unit 1. And so when she dies, you could tell she was like a very important character, and that her death was important, you know? So we end up having Shilling realizing that his fate is now that he needs to be Unit 1, which is, I think, again, no context behind this, but I can still understand the gravity that this really had in the story and everything. So when he eventually was able to become Unit 1, you know, shit was about to go down. Part 1, very comprehensible. I was a little bit confused, but like nothing like part 2 was. God damn.
So what'd you think?
It was something.
It was
something. I honestly think, okay, listen. I thought it was going to be a little bit more goofy. But like, it's not a bad thing that it really wasn't. I honestly really just, am I allowed to swear?
Fuck no.
I had a like, okay, the first part was fine, all right? The first part was like comprehensible. I kind of knew what was going on. Then the second part, mindfuck. Literal mindfuck. I don't know, there was like big, beautiful, big butt naked.
Stop. Not funny. Didn't laugh.
But there were though.
She is 14.
I honestly thought the movie was really interesting. I never felt like, yeah, it was like confusing, but I never felt like I didn't know what was kind of going on. I at least got like a glimpse of what was going on throughout the entirety of it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I just love like, especially for 1997, I think the effects or the animation is incredibly done. Like, very, very well done, especially for 1997.
Anything stand out in particular?
To me, you got the world with all the souls coming in. The detail of, like, the Evans, is that what they're called? Yeah, the details of the Evangelions, when they would be, like, stabbed or killed, and, like, the guts and all those, like, details, I think are incredibly done. Like, really goodly done. I also think, like, a lot of the, like, weather effects, like when one of the Evangelions, like, has, like, a tornado forming around it almost.
Yeah.
I think, it's so well done, in my opinion.
Tell me, how do you interpret the events in the movie? Tell me what you think happened. I'm genuinely interested to hear.
Okay, so we have Schilling, or what's his name?
I'm not helping you anymore. You got this.
Oh, come on, Schilling. It's like Shinling. We're gonna call him Schilling for now.
Bing Shilling.
Shut up. Okay, so Bing Schilling, he, I guess his unit he's Unit 1. Everyone, I think certain people get selected to units. And so, to Avigilons, or he was eventually released because, okay, the world was gonna decide. Okay, I struggled a little bit to follow it, okay? I struggled a bit.
He was a lot more coherent off camera. I want to make this clear. Like, the dude, like, yeah, was still pretty lost, but he understood, like, how to articulate what he's trying to say.
Okay, let me try. So Schilling, he gets in this, he's in this, like, Unit 1. He has a decision of whether or not to, like, kill off everyone, including himself, or to keep people around. And he decides he wants everyone to be like one. All the souls, his wish is granted, and all the souls become one. And then he's just laying there with a girl on top of him. And then he's got his dream, and he's like, damn, I don't like this anymore, actually. There's not connections, there's not relationship. There's, without, I mean, you can't have happiness without at least a little bit of suffering. Because certain bad things are the reason that good things can be.
You can only really enjoy the positives in life when you have the negatives to put them in comparison to.
Exactly. And so he kind of, like, I mean, it doesn't say, like, in the movie, but, like, it's kind of saying that.
The direct line of dialogue, I believe, is anywhere can be heaven if you choose to live.
He realizes, damn, I don't really actually want this. So if he lets it go, so he wants to reverse it, then the girl's like, fuck you. And then it was like, okay, I mean, I'll do it for you. And so if a soul wanted to be back on the earth, they were allowed to go back, but they were able to stay there if they wanted to. I think the whole, again, you could really tell that this was made by, like, someone who's, like, going through shit, who's kind of depressed. You could really tell that. The message that I got was basically that life is, like, worth living.
Right.
Would you say the same, or?
I would say the whole point of the movie is to sort of say, like, you should not try to escape from your reality. Even though there's bad in the world, even though there's suffering, even though you will suffer, you should still choose to live as opposed to choose to deflect or escape or try to hide away from the truth of life.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, like, Schilling does for a lot of the movies. He's, like, at the beginning of the movie especially, he's really shy and just, like, curls up in a ball. And, like, he accepts death. In fact, at one of the beginnings of the movie, he's curled up in a ball while, like, the troops are invading, and someone puts a gun up to his head, and he's ready to die. This is just a theory. But the theory is, I feel like this is actually, like, the writer's feelings. I feel like the writer represents Schilling and, like, who he is, and, like, how throughout, like, not even just writing this, but through his life, he at one point wanted to just curl up and, like, let all these problems invade and like take over, and then maybe he was like in the hospital or something like that, when he realized that maybe like, you know, life is still worth living.
Do you think that when he was in the hospital, somebody came in and beat off onto him?
Yeah, it must, someone, obviously when he went, my theory still stands, when he went to the hospital, someone like beat off right in front of him.
That changed me.
That changed his life.
It made him say, I want to write about robots.
Yeah, the message of the movie, I think, is, although it's not like obviously like super clear, it's pretty clear.
I'd say the themes are probably the most coherent part of the movie. Like they're the easiest to parse on a first viewing, I'd say.
I'd agree. I think a second, like, okay.
I think if you watched the show and rewatch the movie, you might get it better.
Yeah, what do you think getting a second watch out of the movie, what would that like do?
Okay, so for me, I've sat with the movie for a couple of months now. I watched it back in the wintertime, right? And I've sort of sat with it for a while and thought about it quite a bit. Listened to that one song quite a lot.
I wish that I could turn back time, 'cause now the guilt is all mine.
It's a good song.
Can't live without the trust from those you
And I've had a lot of time to really let the themes of it sink in and let the content that I've borne witness to sort of speak in a way. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying absolutely nothing right now. My second viewing of the movie, I'd say it makes more sense. Like I can tell what's going on a lot easier. And there's sort of moments where I'm like, okay, now I get that.
Overall, I think it does make me want to check out the actual like series more.
Mistake.
I still feel like even if I did watch it, there's always going to be this little bit of like piece that's like trying to comprehend still, which I don't think is a bad thing. In fact, I think it's a very good thing. Like there's a difference between like say a lore from like, I wouldn't say the Marvel, but like there's lore can like vary in like detailed from like it's very clean and simple to like extremely complicated, and like, you know, fan theories like can maybe come up with something like that.
Right.
And I think on a scale of like the Peppa Pig universe lore on one side and then the FNAF lore like on like the other side, I think End of Evangelion is like probably like somewhere right here. So like right almost in there, and a little bit more than halfway, I'd say. Which I think is a very interesting thing to have, especially for a TV series.
What?
I hope that made sense. I don't know. It made sense in my head at least. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I loved it. I was actually a lot quieter than I imagined because
That is true.
I wasn't so much of being like, hey, what the fuck is this? More just like subconsciously thinking, what the fuck is this? But being like, I wasn't gonna fall asleep in the movie, that's for damn sure. But it was just, yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah,
Cool. Good video. Good movie.
that was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, nah.
Yeah. No. Cut. Please cut the video.
So, that was an experience, to say the least. I honestly think this was the best possible outcome of the event. I went in with the expectation of Austin's reaction to End of Eva being more entertaining. I'd fully expected to hear a lot more, "Oh my lord, what on God's green flat earth am I watching?" from him, and I would have had to keep telling him, "Shush, we're in a library." Instead, this man came out with a genuine apotheosis about what it means to exist. And maybe I should have seen that coming. Maybe I was so caught up in how funny I'd expected the reaction to such an esoteric film would be that I forgot that Austin too, despite lacking the context for the movie's events or not having engaged with as much art of comparable levels of incomprehensibility, could and would be willing to pay attention and engage with and actually get something of value out of End of Evangelion. If this were a video essay, this would be the part where I muse on about how my revelation that Austin is a human person with a functional human brain, I think,
think.
Ties into the themes and symbolism of the series. How if Schilling could only find a way to share such a valuable experience like this night and connect with the people he cared about instead of pushing them away. Ultimately, The End of Evangelion is a movie that is very hard to put words to. Ever since watching it for the first time only recently, I've been unable to shake the feelings that it evokes. This borderline, indescribable sense of simultaneous terror and optimism, of hope and despair, of awe and isolation. I am genuinely grateful that I had the opportunity to experience the movie the way that it was originally intended, and that my friend, despite being totally clueless as to what I'd drawn him into, could engage with it the way that I had. I know my experience isn't necessarily unique. Evangelion is a franchise so dense and rife with details to discuss that you can take college classes about it. This is real. I know that I don't have much of value to add to the decades-long discussion, so I'm just gonna leave that to the people who actually get views on their multi-hour video essays. Actually, there is one thing I can add that most Eva fans don't seem to get. The age of consent is 18 years old.
So this is not my typical style of video. This isn't indicative of the style I want to take with my content moving forward. Generally, I want to aim for something in a similar vein to the post-void video or a more polished Unfunnies video. That's not to say I'll never do anything like this one again, it's just those are a lot more fun. I much prefer creating the lobotomized shenaniganery of something like Post-Void. If you rock with the editing of End of Eva, you'll probably get something out of this. Expect more of that in the future. Like, comment, and subscribe. A good night.
Let me tell you a cruel angel's thesis, flying outside the window finding egress, with this pathos that damages my will to be. What I believe betrays all my memories, embracing the universe's stars and still shining. Young boy, one day you'll become a legend.